Our invocation this morning is going to be by a Reverend Dan Heaton. Reverend Heaton served as an enlisted member of both the U.S. Air Force and U.S. Navy. He continues to serve as a member of the Michigan Air National Guard at Selfridge Air National Guard Base. One of his sons is also a citizen airman in the Michigan Air National Guard. Pastor Heaton is serving two churches and an associate pastor, the First Presbyterian Church of Troy and the First Presbyterian Church of Mount Clemens. Reverend Heaton.
Please pray with me. In the quiet sanctuaries of our own hearts, let each one of us name and call on the one whose power over us is great and gentle, firm and forgiving, holy and healing. You who created us, who sustain us, who call us to live each day in peace, hear our prayer on this holy day. Hear our prayer for all who have died, whose hearts and hopes are known to you alone. Hear our prayer for those who have put the welfare of others ahead of their own, and give us hearts as generous as theirs. Hear our prayer for those who gave their lives in the service of others, and accept the gift of their sacrifice. Help us to shape and make a world where we will lay down the arms of war and turn our swords into plowshares for a harvest of justice and peace. Comfort those, O Lord, who grieve the loss of their loved ones, and let your healing be the hope in our hearts. Hear our prayer this day, and in your mercy, answer us in the name of all that is holy. The peace of God be with you all. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the Pledge of our Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Behind me is the Guardians of Harmony. They will be singing the national anthem, followed by the lowering of the flags.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallant. rolling along, and it's high, high, hey, the army's on its way. Come off the gate, it's loud and strong. For where'er we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, soon to meet our thunder. Atom boys, give the gun, give the gun. Down we dive, spouting our flame from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame, when we're down in flame. Ain't nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. And those are the great armed forces of America. They serve America. At home or overseas, they serve America.
Beautiful, thank you. Our first speaker, as we stand here in the city of Rochester Hills at this beautiful memorial, our first speaker is the mayor of this great city, Mr. Brian Barnett.
Good morning. Would you do me a favor and give one more round of applause to the Guardians of Harmony? That was exceptional this morning. Well, it's a privilege to be here today, and I want to thank you for joining us this morning. As you know, we have a very unique community presentation today with the cities of Rochester, Oakland Township, and Rochester Hills, wanting to all honor our veterans and this day in a unique way. And today we're glad and grateful that each of you are here. It is a beautiful Memorial Day, and most of this community will spend today doing the things that this day has become known for. Sales, shopping, yard work, time with family, all of those are great, but none as important as what all of you have chosen to do this morning, which is to recognize the true meaning and to bring your kids out, your families out, your loved ones out, to stop for a few moments, to be grateful for those that have made a different decision, for those that have answered heroism's call to represent our nation around the world. You know, this park, if you come back to this park later this month and into next month, you'll see right where I'm standing and along the sidewalks and along the bridges, you'll see members from Rochester, Adams, and Stony Creek, and Rochester High School getting prom pictures here, and those will turn into wedding photos here in the gazebo behind me. And this park is used for lots of things, but this park was created for two main reasons and two main days. Veterans Day in November and Memorial Day today, by many of the veterans that are standing to my left this morning. It's a unique place in our community where we take one of the most prime spots of real estate at the most central location in our community and reserve it for the memory of those who have paid the ultimate price. I'm grateful that you've chosen to be here today, and as I was walking in, my chief assistant said, "Mayor, you forgot your notes." And I did forget my notes. But I didn't forget my notes on accident. I left them home on purpose, because I had something that normal Memorial Days I like to share and thank those and honor the memories, but my life was changed 3 days ago, and I want to briefly share with you how and why it's impacted my message this morning. Yesterday night, I returned from a mayoral delegation to Poland. And 3 days ago, I had the opportunity to tour Auschwitz and Birkenau. It's the first time in my life I'd ever been to Poland, and certainly the first time in my life I had ever been in a concentration camp. And I listened to men and women talk to us, an American delegation, about the role that America played in their country. A country where, of course, I'm not Polish and I'm no expert in their history, but I listened to them closely as they talked about the ways in which the Americans saved their nation. A nation completely wiped off the map, saved by the heroism of those in World War I, and President Woodrow Wilson when they recreated Poland after not existing for 120 years. Saved again in the very death camps that I walked through as I walked under the sign that said, "Work will make you free," and stood in a gas chamber and heard the stories of how this particular death camp killed 10 to 12,000 people, the entire population of the city of Rochester, every single day until liberated by Allied forces. And then I heard them say that even in the 1980s, it wasn't until President Ronald Reagan, always with the strength of the United States military behind every one of these presidents, said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall," and the Iron Curtain fell. And the Polish people, generation after generation, have one nation to thank for the freedoms that they enjoy, and it's ours. And it struck me that today, across the nation of Poland, senior citizens will get up, businessmen and women will go to work, youngsters will go to school, with a quality of life and a freedom and a story and a future created solely by the men and women whose names line this small park in a small city in Michigan. And it was they don't celebrate Memorial Day in Poland the way we do, but they celebrate by the fact that they get to enjoy life and freedom and a future because of the sacrifices made by the men and women we join today and honored on these bricks. I've never been more proud to be an American, never been more proud to stand with and salute those who understand even more so than I do what it means to sacrifice, what it means to put someone else's life before themselves. You think about the young men and women in the 1900s, in World War I, in the 1930s and 40s and World War II, and even in the end of the Cold War in the 80s, that left comfortable communities like ours to travel to dangerous and unfamiliar territories like Poland, to leave loved ones here to protect folks they don't know over there. That is the message of the American soldier. That is the legacy of our country. And that's why I'm so glad that all of you have joined us today to honor those memories. May God bless the veterans of the city of Rochester Hills, the state of Michigan, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. Our first speaker from the VFW, representing the VFW, is Mr. Tom Burns. I haven't seen Tom. Is he? Oh, here he is.
Good morning, everybody. Tom is a little under the weather, so he couldn't make it today. To start out, I'd like to thank every one of you for coming out this morning. Those veterans that are out here in the crowd, welcome home, brothers and sisters. Those that could not make it home, we are eternally grateful for your sacrifice. And I'd like to say thank you to the Gold Star families because they've also paid the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Randy Whitmer, representing the DAV.
I'm Randy Whitmer. I'm the current commander of DAV Chapter 129. I'm also coincidentally the president of the Michigan Air Force Association. And I bring you a message from the National Commander of Disabled American Veterans. Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to thank all of you for taking time out of your day to stand with us in recognition and honor of all those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice in service to this nation. I would also like to take just a moment and recognize all those among us who have served or are currently serving, as well as any here who have lost a loved one in service. We are humbled by your sacrifices, as we know they are great, and we commend the demonstrations of courage and strength that you have no doubt shown throughout most difficult times. And although he's not here with us today, I want to also specifically recognize one of our own local heroes. Professor John Todd of Rochester College. John graduated magna cum laude from the University of Michigan with a degree in political science. He earned his law degree from Georgetown Law School. Professor Todd is a member of the Federalist Society and the National Association of Scholars. He has also won 2 Freedom Foundation Awards for excellence in political communication. And Professor Todd has taught government and business law at Rochester College for the past 39 years, and he gives one of the most rousing orations on our U.S. Constitution of anyone I've ever heard. If you want John to do a presentation for your organization, I'm quite sure he would do it free of charge. But there's another side to John that not many know about, and which I've chosen to highlight on this very special Memorial Day weekend. In 2013, John was named as the Outstanding National Disabled Veteran of the Year by Disabled American Veterans National Office. Quite an honor. You see, John served our nation, as did millions of others in that faraway hotspot on the planet known as Vietnam, as a U.S. Army aviation officer and Cobra gunship pilot. His decorations include the Distinguished Flying Cross for Valor. That's the one that they awarded to Charles Lindbergh for his various accomplishments in the air. He has 17 combat air medals, the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry with palms and a Bronze Star. And of course, John is a Purple Heart recipient. John took a .50 caliber round in the face, and his co-pilot thought he was gone. But John wasn't going to let that stop him. And surprisingly to everyone else, after several years of reconstructive surgery, he went back to school and finished his Juris Doctor. And you know the rest of the story. He's been a professor of law, business law at Rochester College for the last 39 years. John exemplifies the dedication, courage, and sacrifice and all that is good about America and all the men and women who have served and or who continue to serve our nation in uniform. More than 1.1 million men and women have died in wartime throughout the span of our nation's history. To put that in perspective, that's more than the populations of San Francisco, Boston, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. combined. In fact, more people were killed in World War II alone than currently live in the city of New Orleans. This, of course, did not even begin to take into account those who were wounded or went missing. That number is closer to 2.8 million, just slightly more than the city of Chicago. These numbers should truly humble us, as they represent people, individuals, who were brothers, husbands, mothers, sisters, friends. These were people woven into the fabric of communities across the nation. They were loved, they were mourned, and they are missed. Personally, I cannot begin to comprehend the moment when you send your loved one off to war. I have 2 sons of my own who had served, and I have 2 grandsons currently serving. You watch them disappear out of your line of sight, knowing it may very well be the last time you'll see them. Hug them. Tell them you love them. But this has been a stark reality for many families in this country. So too have been the telegrams, the middle of the night phone calls, and the chaplain standing at the front door of the next of kin to tell them that their loved one won't be coming home. It is all too easy for those who have never suffered such losses to see past the holes that were left in the families and communities. That's simply human nature. As Franklin D. Roosevelt once said, those who have long enjoyed such privileges as we forget in time that men have died to win them. But Memorial Day is a chance to reconnect to the genesis of our nation's numerous freedoms It's an important day on which we ground ourselves to the reality that every Gold Star family knows our way of life has been shaped and made possible by those who have served and by those who were lost. I would encourage you to get to know these stories within your own communities. I think you'll be amazed at the stories of true valor you will find right around the corner, right next door. Just this past March, the President posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor to Army Staff Sergeant Travis Atkins of Bozeman, Montana, who was killed in action in Iraq on June 1st, 2007. Sergeant Atkins died shielding 3 of his fellow soldiers from a suicide bomber's detonation. His son Trevor, who was just 11 at the time of the attack, accepted the award on behalf of his late father. And his mother Elaine, who also attended the ceremony, recalled traveling to Fort Drum for the deployment ceremony before her son left for Iraq. At the Medal of Honor presentation, Elaine said, "You know, a parent always realizes that some of them are not going to come back. This is a reality of military service, and this is what we take to heart on Memorial Day. We are able to be here largely thanks to those who are not." There are many ways you can keep our fallen, as well as our injured and ill veterans, in your mind and heart throughout the years. If you're so inclined, organizations like the Disabled American Veterans offer countless ways to give back to those who have endured the physical, psychological, and emotional wounds of war. It could be driving a veteran to a medical appointment, befriending a veteran who lives alone or in a nursing home facility, or simply reaching out to the veteran who just left military service. Please reach out to find ways you can help engage and be part of the effort to care for those who served. Working together with friends, neighbors, veterans groups, and entire communities, we can ensure that the sacrifices made by our nation's finest and bravest never go unappreciated, and that their memories are never forgotten. Thank you.
Our next speaker this morning, representing the American Legion, is Mr. Michael Carney. Michael?
Good morning. My name is Michael Carney from Post 172, American Legion. American Legion this year is 100 years old. And unlike our eloquent mayor, I do need my notes. United they stood, and united they sacrificed. Before the election in 2018, an American soldier posted on Facebook, "As the USA gets ready for the election next Tuesday, I hope everyone back home exercises their precious right to vote. And whether they are Republican or Democrat, it doesn't matter. That we all remember we have far more as Americans that unites us than divides us. United we stand, divided we fall." Although the soldier who posted these wise words was a member of the National Guard and was dedicated as a proud Republican, described as a proud Republican, his family likely had little interest in the outcome of that election. For on election day, his casket arrived home. The soldier in that casket was also a father, a husband, and an inspiration to all that knew him. A veteran of 2 tours, he was killed by an insider attack in Kabul. The soldier did not need to serve in the military. Like all U.S. veterans in the global war on terrorism, he chose to serve the military. Unfortunately, today only about 1% of the Americans who are eligible to serve do serve. Even though many fallen heroes from previous wars may have been conscripted into service, there's always those who are committed to avoiding such danger. What I would like to ask the 99% who choose not to serve is, what are they willing to sacrifice if the 1% does not step up? Labels that we hurl today, like Democrat, Republican, red state, blue state, matter little when facing the mines and machine guns, when charging a beach, searching a village, or traversing a jungle or an open desert. Politics are irrelevant to the family who hear the words, "We regret to inform you." When one witnesses the actual reality of heroes dying, it is easy to make the mistake that their mission had failed, when in fact their sacrifice had made it a success. We continue to lose heroes every day in places like Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and in many military training accidents and missions around the world. Some were only teenagers and some were only in their early 20s. Regardless of their age, their families, they were forever young. From the American Revolution to our current operations against terrorism, 1 million American men and women have made the supreme sacrifice. While serving in wars and conflicts, we honor them all, not just those with the highest medals or the heroes of famous battles, but also for those who died in a small firefight, were killed by an IED, or in training accidents. They all died so we can continue to cherish the things that we love: freedom, country, and family. That is why we are gathered here on Memorial Day, to honor the memory of our fallen warriors who have given everything to their country. We are also reminded on this day that in each generation, men and women will always step forward to take that oath of allegiance. And we, the living, want to be there for their families. Long after the battlefield guns have been silenced and the bombs stopped exploding, the children of the fallen warriors still will be missing a parent. Spouses will still continue to miss their life partners, and parents will never stop grieving for their sons and daughters. We need to be there for all of them. Nobody can replace these fallen heroes, especially in the eyes of their families. But we can offer shoulders to cry on, assurances that the loved one's sacrifice will not be forgotten. As Americans, we should all remember that freedom is not free. It's only possible because our fallen heroes have paid the high price, a price paid which requires ceremonies and observances like these in communities across this great country. As that soldier I mentioned at the start called on us to be unified when we consider their sacrifice that his brothers and sisters in arms have made, that is the least that we can do for them. God bless all of you. God bless all of those in uniform today. God bless America, and God bless our fallen heroes. Thank you very much.
Every year, a veteran is chosen as the honoree. My wife, Mary Modesta, is going to read a bio on our honoree, Eugene.
Eugene Wolfe, inducted to the U.S. Army on May 7, 1951, where he was then bused to Fort Custer, Michigan. From there, he was shipped to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and was assigned to the 43rd Field Artillery, where he spent 16 weeks in basic training. Then he was sent to auto mechanic school. He worked in the motor pool at Fort Jackson until he received his orders to be shipped to Korea around May 1952. Before being shipped to Korea, he spent 4 weeks in Japan and was sent to a CBR school, which stands for Chemical, Biological, Radiological, where he was trained for biological warfare. After graduating, he was sent to Korea, where he was assigned to a company, when he received his orders, the sergeant there said to him, "What the hell is the company?" The sergeant replied, "If I had a choice of companies, this is the one I would take. It is called the First Loudspeaker and Leaflet Company." What they do, he boarded a train to Seoul, Korea, where he was assigned by his commanding officer. His commanding officer asked him, "What can you do?" He replied, "I can do almost anything." The commander said, "I've heard that before." Since he was trained in auto mechanics, he was assigned to the motor pool. The captain informed him there were two things he could not stand: a liar, or a thief. If you are one of these, I'll ship you to the front lines. Otherwise, we're going to get along. When the motor pool sergeant returned to the States, Eugene, only being a PFC, became a sergeant in charge. The motor pool had to maintain vehicles like the GMC 6x6, the Dodge 3/4 ton, and Jeeps for our loudspeaker teams. His company had printing presses to print leaflets to be dropped over the enemy troops from an airplane. The loudspeaker teams consisted of a Jeep, a portable generator, tape player, and a loudspeaker. Our teams would set up the equipment over the front lines, start up the generators to play the recorded propaganda tapes, and they would leave the equipment and everything behind before they could be silenced by motor shells. As a PFC acting as a motor pool sergeant, it was his responsibility to make sure all vehicles and equipment were in great shape. When he left Korea in the month of May and returned to his civilian life, he went to school to become a draftsman and an engineer. He also married in 1960. He was blessed with 2 boys and 2 girls, who gave him 6 grandchildren, and now he has 1 great-granddaughter. He owned a business for welding and hydraulic cylinders, which he sold in 1999. Eugene was awarded the National Defense Medal, the National Korean Service Medal, a Good Conduct Medal, Mechanic Service Medal, and many other awards. I do have a letter which he was given by a commanding officer, which he is extremely proud of, and I'm going to read it to you. It's a letter of commendation to PFC engineer Wolfbauer. On the completion of your tour of duty in Korea, accept my sincere congratulations for a job well done. As a mechanic in this unit, a job which does not lend itself to reward in the form of decorations or citations, you played a vital and integral part in enabling this unit to perform its mission. Your knowledge and ability as a unit mechanic are far beyond that normally found in military circles. Your wholehearted cooperation and devotion to duty has earned my respect and admiration. I have thoroughly enjoyed our brief association and wish you continued success in your future endeavors. The commanding officer called Eugene up front and center at a roll call. He thought he was going to ream him out, but instead he read this letter to the entire company. It is my great honor to present to you Eugene Wolfbauer, our veteran honoree for 2019. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary. Good morning, everybody. It's so good to see so many patriotic Americans. We must never forget the greatest country in the world. I'm not much of a speaker, but I'm so proud to be the veteran nominee. When they told me from my post that I was the nominee of the year, I was really elated. I belong to post number 3908, the Rochester, Utica post. And I want to thank the officers and the membership for this wonderful nomination. And I have a few facts about Memorial Day I would like to read to you. It won't take too long, and I believe that I once was told that any speech longer than the Gettysburg Address is too long. So I will be very short. Today we honor Americans who died while defending our nation and its values. It's a day that allows us to remember our fallen heroes. Memorial Day is a United States federal holiday formerly known as Decoration Day. It was enacted to honor Union and Confederate soldiers following the American Civil War. It was extended after World War I to honor Americans who have died in all of our wars. This day is always celebrated on the last Monday in the month of May. To our heroes, today, tomorrow, and forever, we will never forget you, our fallen soldiers, men and women, who paid the price and put their lives on the line for you, me, our country, and our freedom. In our national cemeteries, there are more than 1 million heroes. In addition, we must never ever forget the Gold Star mothers, fathers, and wives. We must never forget them. And with that, I say, God bless America, and thank all of you. I thank all of you for being here today, my family, my friends, and all of you who took time out of your lives to be here to honor our veterans. Thank you, and may God bless America forever. Oh my goodness. Oh, I've just been presented with the medal, Veteran Honoree Eugene Wolfe, May 2019. I will cherish this forever, and I will remember this day forever. I am so pleased and so honored to receive this. So I thank you all, one and all. And again, God bless America and keep her safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Eugene. You know, in communities across America, these ceremonies are taking place today. We're remembering and honoring. But we do have Gold Star families. Here in our community. I see one of the families directly across from me, but I'd like to read these 3 names. United States Army First Lieutenant Adam Mawson from Rochester Hills, who laid down his life in 2005. I don't know if Adam's family's here. They're normally over here by his bench. They may be at ceremonies at Guardian Angel, but if not, oh, they are here. Thank you. United States Army, Sergeant Kyle McLean from Rochester Hills, Michigan, who laid down his life in 2012. His family's directly across from us here. United States Army, Specialist Walter Howard II from Rochester, Michigan, who laid down his life in 2006 for Operation Iraqi Freedom. I'm not sure if any of his family is here. They are. If there's any other Gold Star family I've missed here, I apologize. They may be gone from our vision, but not from our heart. At this time, we'll have the singing of God Bless America from the Guardians of Harmony. At this time, we're going to have the 21 gun salute followed by the playing of taps. Reverend Heaton will lead us in the benediction.
Please join me in prayer. O gracious Lord, who created us, We give you glory and thanks for this beautiful day, this opportunity to remember, this opportunity to come together as a nation, to enjoy the freedoms that we have been granted. We remember those who have paid the ultimate price. We remember those who stood beside them and were willing to share that burden. Glorious Lord, we ask that the day come when Memorial Day is truly just a day of remembrance, when we no longer have to continue to feed our need for warfare. Help us to move towards a peaceful time. And Heavenly Father, we ask your peace upon each one who is here today, remembering in his or her own way those who have gone before. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
In closing this ceremony at Veterans Point here in Rochester Hills, Mayor Barnett had asked if the Gold Star families could gather over by the Veterans Memorial over here, maybe possibly for a photograph. And if there's anybody that would like to show your love and support for these families, you could stop by and maybe greet them. There's going to be a ceremony starting at Van Hoosen School on Adams Road, a parade up to the new Veterans Memorial that was built on the west side of Adams, just south of Silver Bell. Will be services at 11 a.m. this morning. I know they're going to close Adams in terms of transportation. There's an Oakland Christian Church right behind there on Silver Bell, just west of Adams. And I understand there's a big parking lot there, and you're welcome to park and go across the street or go right around the corner to the Veterans Memorial. If there's truly anybody that has real special needs, I own the farmhouse across the street currently, and there's a few parking spots there. If you can park there and walk across the street, feel free to do so. I'd like to acknowledge the City of Rochester Hills, their fire ambulance, the Oakland County Sheriffs to keep us safe as we go back to our cars. If you know a veteran, you have a veteran in your family, pick up the phone today. Call them, thank them. And today we pause and remember the great work of our veterans. At this time, we'll close the ceremonies and ask the Gold Star families to join the Mayor of Rochester Hills, if you would, please. Thank you.